The sky was peaceful. Birds flew high above the tall trees. A soft wind touched the blue grass of Cairene. On this alien world, life was simple, calm. Lyra, a Valari mother, sat outside her home. She was cooking a warm meal. Her small child, Kale, played with glowing stones near the stream. His laughter made her heart happy. The sun above was golden. It looked like fire but felt like comfort. Lyra smiled. She didn't know. This was the last time she would smile like that. Suddenly, wind changed. The air grew hot. Too hot. Then came the sound. A low hum at first, like the world was holding its breath. Then a loud screech that made the trees shake. The birds vanished. The ground trembled. Lyra looked up. Her eyes widened. The sun had turned red. That was not normal. Sirens screamed from the nearby town. Red lights flashed on tall poles. Storm. Warning. Solar impact in 3 minutes. A robotic voice said in Valari language. Lyra grabbed her child. She ran. People rushed through the narrow paths. Families cried. Buildings began to shake. A high wave of heat rolled across the land, burning the grass and trees behind them. The solar storm was not just light. It had force. Wind, fire, noise. Lyra stumbled, holding Kale tight. He was crying. She was sweating, breathing fast. A power tower fell near them. Sparks flew. People screamed. Some tried to help each other, but most just ran. Everyone wanted to survive. Lyra saw the entrance to the town bunker. It was full. Guards were pushing people back. No more space. They shouted. She begged them. Please, my child, let him in. They turned away. The gates shut with a loud clang. Then the first shock wave hit. A blast of heat and light knocked Lyra to the ground. She lost her grip. Kale rolled down the hill. Dust and fire filled the air. Lyra crawled, coughing, her eyes burning. Kale. She screamed. She reached for him, but he was gone. Everything went dark. When Lyra woke up, the sky was black. Not night. Smoke. Her ears rang. Her arms were cut. Her dress was burned. She got up, dizzy, and looked around. Her home was gone. Trees were ash. Rocks were melted. Her heart raced. She cried out, Kale, Kale, over and over again. No answer. She walked through the ruins, weak, desperate. She saw bodies, burned buildings, no life. Her legs shook. Her soul felt empty. She stopped in the middle of the destroyed town. No one was there. No one had helped her. The Valari had run. Her people had left her behind. She fell to her knees. Tears fell from her eyes. The wind was cold now. Everything was lost. But then she felt a shadow. Behind her, a figure stood. Tall, strong, not Valari. Lyra turned slowly, her eyes full of fear. Strange being stood there, with pale skin, strange clothes, and something shiny in his hand. He spoke in a strange voice. She didn't understand. It was a human. The stories she had heard said humans were dangerous. Fighters, cold-hearted, not to be trusted. But this one, he looked down at her with calm eyes. He knelt beside her. Offered a water bottle. Lyra hesitated, then took it. She drank. Her hands shook. The human pointed toward a scanner in his hand. It blinked. He looked around. He was searching for something. Suddenly, a small sound. A weak cry. Lyra froze. She knew that voice. Kale? The human ran toward the noise. Lyra followed. They stopped near a pile of stone. The human bent down, lifted heavy. Pieces of wall like they were nothing. There, under broken metal, a small hand. Kale. Alive. Crying. Afraid. Lyra screamed with joy and ran to him. She held her son tight, crying and kissing his face. The human stepped back, watching, Silent. Lyra looked up at him. Her eyes said what her words could not. Thank you. The human touched a device on his shoulder, spoke in a strange language. Captain. Jace here. I've got survivors. One adult Vilari, one child. They're alive. His voice was calm. Like this was normal for him. Lyra didn't understand his words, but she understood one thing clearly. In her darkest hour, no Vilari helped her. But a human did. Smoke still filled the air. The ground was cracked. The sky above was dark and silent, but Lyra didn't care. Her child was alive, breathing, warm in her arms. Kale was weak, but he smiled when he saw her face. That one smile was worth more than anything in the world. The human, tall, strange, silent, stood beside them. He didn't smile, but his eyes were kind. Lyra looked at him. She didn't know what he was. His face was smooth, his body covered in strange armor. Lights blinked on his shoulder. He carried something that looked like a weapon, but he had not used it. He had saved her son. She didn't know his name. She didn't speak his language. That something inside her whispered, "You can trust him." The human knelt down slowly. He took off his helmet. Lyra gasped softly. His face was scarred, tired, but not cold. There was pain in his eyes, the kind of pain that comes from seeing too much war. He said something. One short word, soft, not a command, safe. She didn't understand the word, but she felt it. He gently reached for her son. Lyra pulled back for a moment, protective. But then the child looked up at the human and smiled too. The man smiled back, just a little. That moment changed everything. The human tapped a screen on his arm. A small map appeared, glowing blue. He pointed toward a hill in the distance. He waved his hand, motioning for them to follow. Lyra hesitated. Could she trust this creature? He was not one of her kind. Not Vilari. Not even from this planet. But then she looked around. There was no one else. The Vilari cities were gone. Her people had run. No one stayed behind. No one except him. So she stood up, held Kale close, and followed the human through the ash-covered forest. They walked for hours. Lyra was tired. Her legs burned. Her arms ached from holding Kale, but the human didn't stop. He walked ahead, cutting through fallen trees with a tool that sparked blue light. When Lyra stumbled, he came back and helped her stand. When Kale coughed, the human gave him a soft cloth mask and water. He was not like the stories. She remembered what her elders had said. Humans are violent, wild, dangerous. They destroy more than they build. But this one was different. Maybe the stories were wrong. Finally, they reached a clearing. A large silver ship waited there, not like the metal buildings of Vilari, but smooth, fast-looking, and alive with light. It hovered just above the ground. As they came closer, a door opened with a soft hiss. Two more humans appeared, one man, one woman, both with serious faces. The woman raised her weapon when she saw Lyra. Alien life form, she said, but the human who saved Lyra stepped in front of her. No, he said firmly. They come with me. The other humans looked unsure, but they lowered their weapons. The human turned to Lyra, pointed to himself. Jace, he said. She blinked. He repeated it. Jace. Then he pointed at her. She hesitated, then softly said, Lyra. He nodded once, then pointed at the child. She smiled. Kale. Jace repeated both names, slowly. That was the first time anyone had said her name since the storm. Inside the ship. It was warm, bright, clean. Everything made soft humming sounds. Lyra and Kale were given food. Real food. Kale ate slowly, eyes wide with wonder. She watched Jace. He didn't eat. He stood by the window, looking out, thinking, Lyra walked up to him. She placed a hand on her chest. "Thank you," she said. He looked at her. Didn't speak. Just nodded. Then he handed her something, a small photo. It was a human child. A girl. With dark hair and bright eyes. Jace looked away. She understood. He had lost someone too. That was why he helped her. Not because she was Velari, not because it was his duty, but because he still had a heart. The human ship moved silently through the sky, leaving the broken world of Cairene behind. Inside, Lyra sat quietly beside her son. Cale was sleeping now, wrapped in a soft human blanket. His small chest rose and fell slowly. Safe. But Lyra could not sleep. Her home was gone. Her people were scattered. The storm had taken everything except her child. And one human had given him back. She looked around the ship. Cold walls. Strange machines. Fast lights blinking on control panels. It did not feel like home. But it felt safe. That was enough. For now. Captain J stood near the front window, arms crossed, watching stars pass by. He had seen many survivors in his life, many faces. But Lyra's eyes stayed with him, not because of fear, but because of silence. She had lost more than a home. She had lost trust. A message came through. A voice on the ship's speaker. "This is Central Command. State your passengers." Jace pressed a button. One Velari adult, one Velari child, both survivors. Requesting emergency care and shelter. There was a long pause, then a cold voice answered, "Velari? Not priority. Send them to Station Grade 12, Refugee Zone." Jace frowned. Grade 12 is overcrowded. They won't survive there. Orders received. Follow protocol. The voice cut off. Jace turned to Lyra. She didn't understand the words, but she saw his face. He was angry. Not at her, at something bigger. She touched his arm gently. "What is wrong?" she asked. He just shook his head. A few hours later, the ship landed on Station Grade 12. It was not like the clean ship. It was dark, loud, and full of noise. Hundreds of aliens filled the long halls. Some sat on the floor. Some shouted. Some cried. The air smelled like oil and sadness. Lyra held Cale close. He looked around, scared. The humans at the gate looked bored. One scanned Lyra's hand. Another tossed a blanket at her. Section 4, next. She didn't move. This wasn't shelter. This was a cage. Jace saw her frozen. He stepped forward. "She's with me," he said. The guard raised an eyebrow. "She's Velari. You're a captain, not a saint." Jace didn't argue. He just turned to Lyra and said softly, "Come." He brought her back to his ship, his own room. It was small, but clean. A bed, a light, water. Cale looked around, amazed. He touched a glowing star toy on the table. It made a soft sound. Lyra sat down slowly. "Why?" she asked. "Why are you helping me?" Jace looked at her. He didn't answer right away. Then he picked up a broken photo from his locker. It showed a small human girl. "My daughter," he said. "Lost her long ago. No one helped." He looked at Cale. "I couldn't save her, but I can save him." Later that night, Lyra walked the hallway. She saw other humans. Some looked at her with cold eyes, some with surprise. One woman whispered, "Why is she here?" Lyra kept walking. She found the ship's window. She stared into space. Stars like small fires, endless. Cold. Then someone walked up beside her. A young human officer. Friendly face. "You're the Velari?" she asked. Lyra nodded. "They say your people never help others, that you only help yourselves." Lyra looked down. "Maybe true, but I am not my people." The officer smiled. Neither is Captain Jace. Later, Jace spoke to command again, this time with fire in his voice. They need real shelter. A place to live, not just survive. They're not human, command replied. You're wasting resources. No, Jace said. I'm showing them what humanity means. Silence. Then, the screen went black. Jace turned back. Lyra stood behind him. She had heard some of the words. Not all. But enough. She looked into his eyes. Slowly placed her hand over her heart. You have two hearts, she said. He raised an eyebrow. No, just one. She smiled gently. No, one that beats. And one that feels. The ship hummed like a calm beast in the dark of space. It drifted far from the broken world of Cairene. Quiet now. Peaceful on the surface, but not everything peaceful is safe, and not all silence means rest. Lyra had been aboard for 3 days. Each morning she sat near the window and watched stars move like slow fireflies. Kale played with glowing cubes. A gift from the young officer, Riley. Lyra had learned a few human words now. Water, safe, eat, Jace, Kale, thank you. The humans didn't talk much to her. Some nodded. Some watched her closely. One engineer always walked away when she entered a room, but Jace stayed the same. Quiet, focused, protective. Like a wall with a heart. That morning, Lyra found herself alone in a hallway. She had taken the wrong turn. The metal walls looked the same, cold, bright. Then she heard voices coming from a room with a half-open door. Human voices, fast, sharp. She stepped closer. Inside, 3 officers stood around a screen. Maps, signals, and storm charts glowed on it. This storm wasn't natural, one said. The energy burst was too focused. It didn't follow the sun's natural cycle. Another whispered, we picked up Draxon signals near Cairene before impact. Lyra's eyes widened. She remembered that name. Draxon, an old enemy. A violent species that once tried to enslave the Velari. Her people had pushed them back years ago, but now, they used the sun against the Velari? The first officer asked. No doubt, the second replied. It was an engineered solar blast, a test. Cairene was just the beginning. Then the screen flashed red. Target, human colony, Terra 5. God, someone whispered. They're planning to hit a human world next. Lyra stepped back, heart racing. It wasn't a disaster. It was an attack. Cairene wasn't just lost. It was chosen. Suddenly, a hand touched her shoulder. She jumped and turned to see Captain Jace. His face was serious. You heard, he said. She nodded slowly. He led her to a quiet room. No lights, no other people. Listen, he said, speaking slowly. This is bigger than your world. The Draxon are testing a weapon. If we don't stop them, more planets will die. She clenched her fists. Why Cairene? She asked. Jace looked away. Because the Velari had no army. No allies. Easy target. No one would fight for you. Her voice trembled. Except you? He looked back. His voice was low. Yeah, me. Lyra sat down. She felt her hands shake. Her people were proud, strong in spirit, but they were not built for war. And they had few friends in the stars. The Velari taught peace, but peace didn't stop fire from the sky. Later that night, Jace met with the crew. I'm taking a team, he said. We're finding that Draxon signal source. I need 1 translator and 1 scout. Officer Riley looked up. You want her to come? She nodded at Lyra. Jace replied, she knows the Draxon. She's brave. She's been through hell and kept walking. No one argued. Sometimes silence means respect. Jace gave Lyra a small wrist device. It translated basic words. He also gave her a flight suit, light armor, human-made. She looked down at the strange clothing, unsure. "Wear it," Jace said. "You're part of the crew now." She nodded and wore it with pride as the small scout ship launched from the main vessel. Lyra held Kale's hand one last time. "You will be safe," she told him. Kale looked at Jace. "Come back?" Jace bent down. "We will, promise." Then he looked at Lyra. For them to have a future, he said, "We have to fight." The stars outside were calm again, but war was hidden in the silence. Lyra stared at the black ahead, not with fear, but with fire in her heart. The scout ship flew in silence. Cold stars moved past the windows like slow shadows. Inside, only the hum of engines could be heard. No talking. No smiles. Everyone on board knew. They were heading into danger. Captain Jace sat in the command seat, eyes on the screen. Lyra sat beside him, wearing the flight suit he gave her. It still felt strange on her body, but not as strange as holding a weapon. She had never touched one before. Now, it was strapped to her leg. In front of them, a red signal pulsed on the map. Draxon Base, hidden inside an asteroid field. That was their target. That was the place where the weapon had been controlled, the one that destroyed Kyrene. Lyra's hands were tight. Her breath was slow. She wasn't scared. She was ready. Something felt wrong. Inside the ship, Officer Riley checked the systems. Everything looked fine. Shields up. Weapons charged. Fuel full, but she paused at one screen. A strange signal, soft, hidden, repeating. Ping. Ping, ping. Like someone inside the ship was sending a message. To someone outside. She looked around. Only 5 crew on board. All trusted. All trained. Or so she thought. She ran to Jace. "Sir," she whispered, "I think there's a leak. Someone's sending signals." Jace turned sharply. "From this ship?" She nodded. "Encrypted, but real." Lyra watched Jace's face change. Hard. Focused. He stood up and spoke calmly. "Check every room, now." The crew moved fast. Lyra followed, confused but alert. She entered a small control bay and stopped. A panel was open. Wires cut. A blinking transmitter. Hidden behind a vent. Footsteps came behind her. She turned fast, weapon in hand. It was Officer Grant, a quiet man. Good pilot, always alone. He froze, then smiled. "You weren't supposed to see that." He moved fast, tried to grab her weapon. But Lyra had already seen too much fear in her life. Too much loss. She did not freeze this time. She pulled the trigger. A flash of light. A scream. Then silence. Jace and the others came running. They saw Grant on the floor, wounded but alive. "Traitor," Jace said. Lyra stepped back, shaking. He was sending messages to the Draxon. Riley checked the device. "She's right. He gave them our location." Jace looked at Lyra. "You saved us." But there was no time to rest. The ship shook. Hard. An alarm screamed. Draxon ships had found them. Jace jumped to the controls. Shields up. "Get us through that asteroid field." Riley took the guns. Lyra sat beside her, unsure. "Want to help?" Riley asked. Lyra nodded. Riley handed her a screen. Tap red to lock. Blue to fire. Simple. But deadly. Outside, Draxon ships flew fast, sharp, silver with blood-red lights. They fired plasma beams. The human ship shook again. Lyra locked a target. Tapped blue. Boom. One Draxon ship exploded. She gasped. She had done it. JACE flew low, dodging rocks and fire. "This is it," he shouted. "We make it to that base, or we die trying." Lyra looked ahead. The asteroid base was there, a black hole in space, surrounded by rotating rocks and metal. inside it. The truth, and maybe a chance to stop the next storm. Ship burst through the last defense line and landed hard inside the base tunnel. Doors opened. Lyra stood. Breathing fast, heart-pounding JAC, he handed her a communicator. You ready? She nodded. Good, he said. Let's show them what humans and Velari can do together. They stepped out into the dark. Lights flickered. Weapons ready. One human. One Velari together. The Draxon base was dark. Too dark. Captain Jace and Lyra moved carefully down the metal hallway, weapons ready. The lights flickered above them, casting long shadows. Behind them, the scout ship waited. Engines still warm, ready to fly. Or flee, but they could not leave yet. Not without destroying the storm weapon. Not without saving millions. Lyra had never been inside an enemy base. The walls were cold, not like human metal. These were sharp, black, grown from machines, alive, almost breathing. Strange symbols pulsed along the walls. She stayed close to Jace, but her hands did not shake. Not anymore. They turned a corner. 2 Draxon guards stood ahead, reptilian, tall, eyes like red glass. Sharp claws on each hand. One sniffed the air. He hissed. Velari. He raised his weapon. Too late. Jace fired first, quick, clean. Lyra covered him, shooting the second. It fell with a loud crash. Jace looked at her, surprised. She lowered her weapon slowly. You said, red to lock, blue to fire. He gave a short smile. You learn fast. They found the control room. A giant sphere glowed in the center, humming with energy. Floating around it were 4 strange towers, connected by bright light. Lyra stared. That's the weapon, Jace said. They call it a solar bender. It turns stars into bombs. She whispered, and they aim it next at your world? Jace nodded. Terra 5. 10 million people. Suddenly, an alarm blared. A deep, angry voice echoed across the base. Intruders, human, Velari, lockdown engaged. Doors slammed shut. Red lights filled the halls. The weapon started pulsing faster. There. Going to fire it now, Jace said. Right now. He ran to the console. Typed fast. Tried to shut it down. Access denied. Lyra saw a countdown on the screen. 4 o'clock, 3:59. She stepped back. Thought fast. Then remembered what Riley told her on the ship. Every system has a heart. Even a weapon. She looked up at the glowing towers. The towers, she said. Break them. And the heart dies. Jace understood. But we only have one ship. Lyra turned to him. One ship, one chance. They raced back to the scout ship. Riley had already started the engine. We've got company, she shouted. 5 Draxon cruisers incoming. Jace jumped into the pilot seat. Lyra, take the right cannon. Target the towers. I'll fly us in close. The ship roared forward, straight back into the storm. The first tower came into view. Lyra locked on. Fired. Boom. One down. A Draxon. Ship fired back. Blue plasma slicing past. The scout ship shook hard. Jace held steady. We take them all, or we die trying. Second tower. Destroyed. Third tower. Harder. Guarded. Riley launched a missile. It hit, but not enough. Lyra fired again. Direct hit. One tower left, but a Draxon ship hit them from behind. Systems blinked. Smoke in the cockpit. Riley screamed. We're losing pressure. Jace shouted, Lyra, this is it. She aimed at the last tower. The ship was spinning. Shaking. Her hand moved. Lock. Fire. Boom. The weapon core exploded. Light filled the base. Shock waves blasted through space. The Draxon cruisers pulled back too late. The solar bender was gone. Jace barely pulled the ship away in time. Pieces of the base floated behind them like burning ice. Inside the ship, Alarms went silent. Only heavy breathing now, smoke, blood, tears. But they were alive, and Earth was safe. Lyra sat back in her seat. Silent. She had helped destroy a weapon that could burn a sun. Not with an army. Not with power, but with courage. Jace looked at her. You're not just Valari anymore, he said. She turned to him. What am I? He smiled softly. Crew. The sky above Terra 5 was bright and blue. A peaceful world, green trees, strong cities, smiling children. But in the meeting halls of its high tower, the mood was not peaceful. It was tense. Serious. Inside the chamber, leaders from across the human alliance had gathered. Generals, presidents, commanders, scientists. And in the center of the room stood Lyra, a Valari mother, now wearing a badge of the Terran fleet. Beside her, Captain Jace. They had just saved this world, but now they were asked to explain. Why? One human admiral stood up. Why did we risk our soldiers for a Valari? Another sighed. Her kind turned away from us for years. Why should we help them now? Jace's jaw tightened. He looked at Lyra. She stood up straight. Calm, brave, and then she spoke. Simple words, but full of fire. My people were proud. Yes, silent, careful. We wanted peace, but we did not protect it. She looked around the Savington loud room. You are strong, brave, loud. You saved my child, my life, my world. A pause. But not because we are Valari. Because you are human. The room grew quiet. She stepped forward. You did not run when it was hard. You did not hide when we were weak. You fought for someone you didn't know. She looked at Jace. He didn't ask who I was. He just gave me water. Gave my child shelter. Then she looked back at the crowd. And when we faced the Draxan, we fought beside you. I did not have a weapon. I had a reason, and I chose to stand with the one who stood for me. Silence. Then, a slow clap. It was the young Officer Riley. In the back of the room, more clapping followed. Then the admiral who first questioned her stood again. He looked at Lyra and saluted. So be it. The Valari will have a place in the alliance. Outside the chamber, reporters and people gathered near the screen walls. The news spread fast. Valari mother helped stop doomsday weapon. Human and alien save 10 million. A new alliance begins. Later, Lyra walked beside Jace through the city park. Kale ran ahead, chasing human kids. Laughing. He looked healthier, stronger. The war was behind them. But the future? Still unknown. Lyra looked at Jace. You still carry pain? He nodded. I lost my daughter, years ago. She was caught in a war we didn't start. Lyra placed a hand on his arm. Then maybe? Kale was sent to remind you, not all wars end in loss. Jace nodded again, softer this time. Maybe they end? With hope. That evening, the sun set slowly across Terra 5. Golden light touched the rooftops. And in the training center of the fleet, a new flag was raised. The Valari crest, side by side with the human one. One old, one new. One born from sorrow, the other built from choice. They had no superpowers. No giant armies. Just one ship. One mother. One man who chose to help. That was enough. That was human.